morning, everyone. Look at this. It's 11 o'clock and it's Wednesday, and it is also World Book Day today. I cannot think of a better time to present to you Elevenses with the reps at Diesel Bookstore. Welcome, everybody. Every Wednesday we get together here in our fabulous little crowdcast space, and wherever you want to see it available. And we meet with our wonderful publishers representatives and our fabulous booksellers, and we talk about books. And we go down rabbit holes, and we discuss all of the upcoming new, recently released titles, old favorites, kids, poetry, whatever you got, cookbooks when Dave's here, always. And we post links to all of the books that we discuss in the chat bar over there, which you can see, and welcome you to ask questions, to make comments, to just join in over here. It's a really happy book discussion for everybody who loves books, and that is all of us. And I actually was just saying to Tom, who you can see there in the square, the other day, I realized I love books so much it's almost embarrassing. You should have seen how excited I got when I opened up the package and there were 2 books in it, and I was like jumping up and down. So that's why, yeah.
I said I do the same thing. It doesn't matter. Books arrive. I'm always excited. Dave sent me a book. I was like, oh my God. How
I know, it's like a happy day. And I recall when I really tried to get my first book published for a long time. It was a long road. And obviously when it first happened, I was like just thrilled beyond belief and all of this. And all of the parts of the process were great. But the single like most exciting day was when I got a box from HarperCollins, who's my publisher at the time. And it said on it, waiting Ginsburg, and I was like, oh, it's my name on a box of books. It was like a box of books and my name on it. Anyway, none of that has diminished over the years, and that's why we're here. So I am going to introduce everybody, and we're going to launch right into our fun discussion of books in a second. But first, I want to tell you about all of the things happening this week. It's a huge week for all lovers of books. In addition, today being World Book Day, tonight and at Diesel in Brentwood, April 23rd at 6:30 p.m. McKenna Held will be here discussing and signing mostly French recipes from a kitchen in Provence. So that is going to be really fun. And that's tonight, World Book Day, 6:30 p.m. And then this weekend is just huge for books. It's really all over the country. But here in our little portion of it, we have a couple of different things going on. First, we have the Los Angeles Times Festival of Books, which is at the University of Southern California. And that is both Saturday, the 26th, and Sunday, the 27th. Diesel will be there. You come by and say hi. It's just it's so much fun, the Festival of Books. If you're anywhere near, general admission is free. There's just so much to do. Kids, adults, it's like a book palooza. Really fun. So that's happening this weekend on Saturday and Sunday at USC, coinciding with Independent Bookstore Day. That's National Independent Bookstore Day, but all indie bookstores celebrate Independent Bookstore Day. This is, I believe, the 12th annual. There's all kinds of treats, goodies, extras, and just general fun to be had. That's going to be Saturday at any indie bookstore, but also ours, Diesel. So there's that. And then if you're in San Diego, or perhaps you're driving down to San Diego for the weekend, and if you're going to be in San Diego, in addition to Independent Bookstore Day, there's a weekend down here, the San Diego Book Crawl, which is its own thing. There's 14 participating independent bookstores, and there's various prizes as you go from one to the next. It's super, super fun. They make it really fun, and you can do any or all. And Joey has posted the links to all of those, and also we've got the booth, the signed editions, everything. It's just pace yourself. It's a big weekend. But I recommend hydrating and doing all of these things because it happens only once a year, and it's really fun if you love books. So, all right, big weekend. Let's talk about some of the books that are happening right now, and that you can find at any one of these events that I just mentioned. So, joining us today to talk about all of these things, we have Dave Ehrlich from Chronicle Books. We have Julia Callahan from Hachette, Tom Benton from Penguin, third week in a row. Thank you, Tom. And we've got Mary over here, who is our actually is our events coordinator. So Mary knows absolutely everything about all of these events I just told you about, and more. And she's been working frantically to get all of that coordinated. So if you have any questions for Mary about any of that, I'm sure she'd be happy to talk about it some more. So just let us know. And then, of course, behind the scenes, we have Joey, and he is posting all the links and answering all the other questions that Mary can't answer. And there we are. So let's get rolling because we got a lot of great stuff to talk about. I believe somebody here mentioned only bangers this week. I think that was you, Tom. Yes. All right.
Be the judge.
Dave, lead us off.
Okay. Thanks, Deborah, and thanks, Diesel, for having me today. My first book today is something I have been waiting weeks and weeks and weeks to present. I had given all my copies away to buyers because it's that kind of book that I hand out as I go, and I just didn't have a physical copy. It's been out for a couple of months. The book is Coastal, a love letter to the California coast through 130 incredible recipes. This comes to us from chef and restaurateur Scott Clark. Scott Clark is a fine dining chef. He took his talents and passions that he learned on the East Coast in a lot of kind of high-end culinary establishments. But then he also took his love of surfing on the California coast, and he opened a restaurant still there and operating and very popular called Dad's Luncheonette, which is up in Half Moon Bay. It's in an old railroad caboose right at the edge of the Pacific. And I'm going to show you a photograph of Dad's. Just a beautiful little rail car. He takes his remarkable recipes from the beloved restaurant, and he travels up and down the California coast in this book and celebrates everything we have to eat, explore, forage, and offer. There are 130 recipes total, celebrating the California coastline through seasonal and down-home cuisine. It's a richly visual journey, which is set against the surf, the peaks, the curving roads, and the sunsets of our westernmost United States. So in these pages, Scott takes you on a hunt for pink peppercorns and huckleberries in a thicket off of Highway 1. You will pluck wild seaweed along the beach with Scott. You will also cast line for lingcod in Half Moon Bay, and you will dig into pine needles to harvest morel mushrooms in the forests near Big Sur. Whether you choose to source these ingredients from the woods, from your local farmer's market, or your local grocery, Scott's techniques and his vibrant, fresh flavors are achievable by both day trippers and home cooks alike. The book is a really cool combination of a travel book. I want to show you, I just love these end papers. Let me turn this lamp around. Basically, it's the coastline, both front and back end papers. We've got Dad's Luncheonette up here in Half Moon Bay. And then you can kind of travel down the coast, going down through Monterey Bay and Carmel, going into like Santa Cruz. This shows you different stops. And basically, Scott takes the journey. You take the journey with him through these travels and through all these stops along the coast. You will make glorious bacon Gouda Dutch babies. Hello. Furikake popcorn. You can make big flavored sandwiches, like the Dad's Luncheonette favorite, the Head of the Woods mushroom sandwich. Look at that, big boy.
That looks so good.
That's crazy. Can also be made for meat eaters with hamburger, but I think the restaurant is known. It's one of their signature dishes is the morel mushroom sandwich. I don't want to lose my place in my notes. A beautiful fruit and veggie forward creations, such as a fig, feta, and radicchio salad, as well as a summer squash and plum salad. Look at that. Just delicious and beautiful. and even drinks like a kimchi Mary or a smoked huckleberry old fashioned. And there's even recipes for desserts, such as rhubarb brownies and a show stopping. Oh, of course, I lost the marker. I'm just going to tease you with this. Gone. A Earl Grey icebox pie. If I find that photo, I will hold it up.
Find that. I need that.
Give me
Find that.
That thing is dropped out. It should be under PIE. There it is, 100. You got to see this. I love an Earl Grey pie.
I love an Earl Grey anything, but
Yeah,
definitely an Earl Grey pie.
Remember the Pie Hole? It was like a LA.
Yes.
I think they're gone.
Yes.
The killer Grey icebox pie.
Oh, that looks so good.
I know. I'm going to make this. I'm not even a big baker. I mean, I love the flavor so much that I'm going to make this. So just the recipes are just all over the place, all super inventive. They're clever. They're creative. They're really unfussy. And they just celebrate everything we have up and down the California coast to both forage, to kind of find ourselves, or again, if you don't want to dig into the woods, you can find all these things at farmers markets and your local grocers as well. But it's just a really, really vibrant, dynamic book. He interviews farmers, fishermen, people up and down the coast that help to bring this food to us and help to harvest this food. And then just the photography from Cheyenne Ellis is just sumptuous and beautiful. It really is like a perfect fusion of a travel book, a love letter to California coastal dining, and then it's just a vibrant, fantastic recipe collection. So Coastal, out now and available at Brentwood.
Such a great book. We got these, I think, a little bit early, and looking through it, and it's such a fabulous book. So much fun. So the recipes are so achievable, and it's quintessentially Californian, which I love as well. And I think, what did you say? Unfussy, something about
clever,
elegant,
unfussy.
Yeah, which is California. It exemplifies California. A really fun book just to look at, and also a wonderful book to either give or have for yourself. I mean, for me, it's always like, it's got to be one for me first. But a beautiful book. I'm so glad you're talking about this, Dave, because I feel like I've been seeing it for a while and I've been waiting for you to talk about it. It's a great book.
Yeah, it's been a while.
Yeah. All right, Dave's made everybody hungry. That's his job. And so now we're going to go over to Julia.
Okay. I love that book, Dave. And I grew up near Half Moon Bay, and that like speaks to a part of my soul. So my first book, I'm not going to be at Elevenses for a little bit. So my first book is a couple of weeks away. It's coming out May 13th. But I think one of the best novels I've read in quite some time. This is called The Devil Three Times by Rickey Fayne. And this book, when it came to my house in galley form, I don't know if you guys have this experience where a book shows up and it's a little thicker than you thought, and you're like, oh no. It's not, and I don't mean to give the impression that it's like a super long book. It's about 400 pages. So, it's just a little bit, it's just got a little bit of thickness around the middle. And I was like, okay, it's going to take a second to get into, because sometimes books like that do take a second to get into. And then I read the first chapter and I was like, oh, never mind. I misread this situation entirely. This book starts off with a conversation between the devil and God and the devil, and immediately then thrusts you into a ship coming from Africa holding enslaved people. And one of the women on the ship, who is being brought from Africa to be enslaved in the United States, makes a deal with the devil on the ship. And this is where I tell you that this book has a family tree at the beginning that you will refer to again and again, because the rest of this book is the next 200 years of this family tree and how this deal with the devil reverberates through and echoes through this family. I'll say that the devil is not fully evil in this book. And I will say that when thinking about sort of the lineage that happens from slavery and how sort of white people become inserted into family lineage in slavery. You might get an idea of it within like the enslaved communities. You might get an idea of how the repercussions of this deal with the devil sort of play out. This is a beautifully written book. This is a debut novel from Rickey Fayne. I think gonna be a person we come back to and hear from again and again. It is just gorgeous. It's sumptuous. There's horror in it. There's love in it. There is so much to this book that I just think anyone who loves a well-written, sort of deeply felt novel will really like this one. I absolutely loved it. I tore through it. And like I said, the family tree is key. You do need to refer to it back again and again. So this is The Devil Three Times by Rickey Fayne, and it's out in a couple of weeks on May 13th.
Oh, great. Okay, so it's right around the corner. I been thinking a lot about, we often discuss on Elevenses elements that will make us immediately pick up a book and read it. And so far, we have the running tally. We have nuns, clowns, bank robberies. And I'm going to go ahead and add Deals with the Devil to that list. And every time the book is exploring, it's fascinating for me because it comes up a lot in your wonderings about why things are the way they are. Right?
Yep.
A natural question. So also an absolutely engrossing topic. So I am familiar with that, picking up a book and it's like, oh, this is more than I thought. Tom sent me a few where I had that reaction. And what's the one, Tom, that I love so much that I can't think of the name right now? The Indian Godfather.
Age of Vice.
Thank you. Age of Vice was one of those, which fabulous. And you pick it up and you're in it and that's it. Doesn't matter and it flies by. So this definitely sounds like one of those. I'm looking forward to getting into it, Julia. Fabulous. So we've got a couple of weeks, but the link is right there. Pre-order, I'd say. Thanks, Julia. All right, Tom, over to you.
I'm in the same situation. I won't be on Elevenses for a little while, so I'm gonna.
How does this happen?
No, it's confusing. So I'm previewing some books too. So the first book is a book that I have been waiting to talk about. It's coming out May 6th, so another pre-order. It's called The Names by Florence Knapp. It's a novel, first novel, indie next pick. It's a big indie book. I mean, indie booksellers have been all over this book. And the story is, it starts off, it's in a small town in England, and Cora, the mother of a family, and it's the aftermath of a terrible storm. She has a newborn baby, and she's headed to name the baby. The moment has come to name this newborn baby. Her husband is a doctor, a very respected doctor, but we know quickly that he's not what he seems to be. He is an abusive husband, but he desperately, it's important to him that the baby be named after him. Of course it is. She really doesn't want to name the baby after the husband and the father. So the book, that's the setup. The book then takes you in 3 different timelines, depending on what she names the baby. And it is in a way a simple idea but very hard to pull off, because you get the story of this baby over the next 30, 35 years, and you get 3 different stories of how things might have turned out depending on what he's named. It's beautiful. It's so accomplished. It's as if, you can't believe it's a debut novel. But that concept, I'm always looking to be surprised. Like, I read so much, and please surprise me. That really helps when I'm reading something for, especially a debut. And she completely does that. This also comes from Pam Dorman, the editor of Pamela Dorman Books. And I will just tell you, she has an eye for great novels, especially great debuts. I mean, I'm going back a long time, but this just gives you an idea. She's the editor of Secret Life of Bees. So this is the kind. So when she tells us I have a great debut, we pay attention. And the names is it. So it's coming out May 6th. Incredible. I expect incredible reviews, great word of mouth. Geraldine Brooks has a fantastic quote for it. She says, "A magnificent novel, thrumming with life in all its pain and precariousness, yet suffused with the glorious possibilities of love and redemption." And I should just stop for a second and remind, and it is painful. Like if you're not up, because there is spousal abuse, I mean, and that there is a lot of pain in this book, but then you go back to that quote and the possibilities of love and redemption are definitely there. So it is, it's going to be a great summer read. Just really a fantastic debut. So that's The Names by Florence Knapp.
I know you've been waiting a long time to talk about this book, Tom, because I remember you talking about it way back in September, I think, and you were super excited about it then. And it did just take off in pre-pub with indie booksellers who absolutely love it. I don't know anybody who isn't just astonished by this book. It's really wonderful, myself included. It's a really wonderful book. It's a great book club pick. It's got so much potential for all of those things, for all kinds of discussion, and just like a real book, for people who really love great writing, great concept, great ideas. Fantastic book. Well-deserved Indie Next pick. Yeah. Yeah, great. Thank you, Tom. Mary, we haven't seen you for a while. Excited to hear what you have on offer today.
Okay. So the first book I'm going to talk about is not new. It's not coming out. It's been out. But I thought as we approach the crawl, and you're going to 14 stores if you're going to all of them, you need something that one of your 14 maybe isn't massive or 400 pages or whatever, but it's Small Things Like These by Claire Keegan. And I realized talking to some people in my book group that a lot of people haven't read this. I know all of us. I've read it multiple times. I know. I
don't believe anybody hasn't read it.
I've read it multiple times, so I'm always surprised. And then I thought, you're kidding. You need to get a copy to give to people. So this is a good one for the book crawl. Get a copy or two at one of the 14 stores.
Good idea.
Because it is smaller. So as you get through that stack, but it's set in 1985 in a small Irish town. And hey, it even has a glimpse of nuns. So we're touching that here. We all love it. But it doesn't focus on that. It's the story of Bill Furlong, who's a family man who was born to a teenage unwed mother. So he has all of that in his background and kind of how he builds a life. And he has 5 daughters of his own, and figuring out what does that mean for his life, his daughters, how he made it through the social ramifications of being from an unwed mother in an Irish town. Then he stumbles across the convent when he goes to deliver coal, which is his job. And he sees that there's these women, these young girls actually, mostly kept in this convent and have been sent there because they're unwed mothers and kind of tortured. And he's not really sure what to do about that. Kind of how we all might come across these things in our daily lives. And what do you do? What are the consequences if you choose to help somebody? And should you help somebody? And it doesn't really give you the answer what happens when you help someone, but I just love that it sets it up that if you do the right thing or the thing that you think is right to help someone, then that's really all you need to focus on. And then towards the end, we're not really sure what happens from that, but he's just struggling with that in throughout the whole story. What is he supposed to do with his life? What does it all mean? So it's a really small book, but it packs so much into it. You can't believe it. I don't even know. Is it 100 pages? Let me see. It's like 115 pages, and it packs everything into it. And it probably should be required reading for all adults. I'm not saying just, in school, but like we should all have to read it. Mm-hmm. Every few years, you should have to read it. So I know there's a show made about it too, and I haven't watched that yet. So I'm going to check that out and see if it measures up.
Is it a show or a movie?
Movie.
Yeah,
Yeah,
movie. Yeah.
Everything's
Yeah.
a show now, so I just assume
Right.
that. But maybe it's actually a movie, and I'm going to check it out.
No, I think it's a movie. I haven't seen it yet.
Hasn't even
I
watched
want
it?
to. Although I kind of don't want to see it because I love the book so much.
Yeah.
That
True.
I don't. Yeah. So I don't know if anybody's seen it or not, but it's Cillian Murphy, I think, and he's usually very good. So this we've talked about Claire Keegan, but I'm not actually sure if we've talked about Small Things Like These. We might have, but it's one of my favorite books of all time for all of the reasons that you just stated. It's never a bad time to talk about Claire Keegan. I don't even know how she does what she does. Like, she uses the same words as everybody else who writes in English, and yet somehow when she puts them together, it's like this incredible thing, and she does it in such a short space. So she's just brilliant. Julia, you have not read it. You absolutely, I will buy you a copy.
I think I have a copy. I'm pretty sure
I can get one.
See what I said? People have it and they haven't even read it. So it's on your TBR list, and you just need to move it up.
Yeah, I mean, it'll take you no time at all. Claire Keegan's one of those authors I have to slow down when I'm reading her because I don't want it to end, and she's not exactly like pumping them out, you know. Yeah. Great pick. Thank you, Mary, and a great idea to pick up something small like this. During the over the weekend during the book crawl. Excellent. Thanks, Mary. All right, Dave, back to you.
Okay, thank you. Switching gears entirely, I'm going to present a title that is out now, came out a few weeks ago, and this is from Hardy Grant North America, one of our distributed publishers, and this is the fabulous, colorful, and engaging Mahjong House Rules from Across the Asian Diaspora from Nicole Wong. This book looks at the classic tile game of Mahjong. It talks about the history, all the kind of base rules of playing Mahjong, all the different variations that you can play. Many different regions have created different gameplay and different methods and strategies. But Nicole also talks a lot about her ancestors, growing up with Mahjong being this constant thing in her house with her relatives. She learned to play from her grandmother and her aunts. And I like this quote on the back of the book. Mahjong is the book version of a fabulous expert auntie sitting next to you and patiently guiding you through a game. So there are, and you can tell the design is super colorful, punchy, and bright. Really cool photography throughout of classic Mahjong sets, but basically just really simple step-by-step walkthroughs and diagrams, really colorful and crisp, ways to play the game, how to set up the Mahjong table, how to kind of read when the tiles are dealt, what they mean, and what it kind of, I don't know if sweet is the right word or whatever the collection of tiles is called. Different ways to set up your Mahjong party. Mahjong has come back in popularity in a huge way over the past few years. I think due in part to sort of Joy Luck Club has that big Mahjong scene in it. A lot of people may have been introduced, a lot of Westerners may have been introduced to it through that, but also a lot of people just kind of going back and embracing their ancestry. I think for a lot of kind of third culture Asian kids, growing up, this was a thing that existed in their house that was mysterious, that their elders played, and that maybe they didn't learn how to play, or maybe they found sort of cryptic and confusing. It is a really complicated game, and you do need someone to guide you through how to play it best, how to set up. Oh yeah, maybe I'm thinking of Crazy Rich. Oh, thank you, Julia. It is Crazy Rich Asians that has the Mahjong scene I'm thinking of. But basically, you need somebody to guide you through and talk about it. So not only is this just a really easy to use guide to a really complex game, but just a visual, like sumptuously visual celebration of the game and the culture around it. Nicole even tells you how to trash talk at the Mahjong table with other players, all kinds of funny asides, all kinds of fun stories. Based around her family and her relatives and growing up learning how to play this classic, amazing game. A lot of national retailers are selling Mahjong sets now, and it's pretty easy to find sets and play yourself. So grab the book. Joey and Mary told me that you've already sold the initial, I don't think you're sold out, but you already sold the initial 4. A couple of them at Brentwood that you got in, they sold immediately. So this book is off to a great start.
because it's a really great book. I loved this book. As soon as I pulled it out and I saw it, I was like, oh, what is this? This looks really interesting. And it really is. It's super fun, informative, and great timing, I think, for a book. And people are absolutely interested in it. Not just Crazy Rich Asians, but I've seen Mahjong pop up a lot in popular culture lately. And there's I can't, of course, think of the name of the show right now. I will by the time we're finished, and I'll come back to it. But it pops up all the time. And Joy Luck Club, I definitely sort of started there with an awareness of it. But it's cool in so many different ways. The game itself is really interesting, but also all of the culture around it, and the history is really cool as well. So really, really fun book. And obviously, and Joey says, put it on the table. They sold through before the end of the weekend. So there you are. Finger on the pulse right there.
I'll just add that Nicole's going to be at Diesel on June 8th in the afternoon, and she's going to do demonstrations after the discussion and teach people how to play too. So
super fun, and we'll be talking more about that as we get closer. We'll talk about that. But thank you, Mary. Perfect.
Thanks, Mary.
Yeah. Thank you, Dave. Julia?
All right. Well, mine is a little bit different. It's again, it's coming out in 2 weeks. May 6th, this book comes out. And it is a philosophy book. It's called Reclaiming Art in the Age of Artifice by J.F. Martel. And this is an amazing book. It's got an intro by Donna Tartt of The Goldfinch and The Secret History, and such. You can actually read the whole, or not the whole intro, but you can read a big chunk of it in Harper's Bazaar. They published it. But this is a philosophy book basically about why art is important, particularly as we are sort of inundated with things like AI and sort of screens that are constantly showing us different things. I want to read a little bit from the introduction, which says, this graceful and incisive work of philosophy illuminates the shock of the new via the shock of the old. Not only does it address presciently numerous alarms and discomforts of the onslaught of artificial intelligence, but it also successfully breaks down a number of destructive modern misunderstandings about art. With precision and clarity, employing sources from psychology to anthropology, from Heidegger to Stanley Kubrick, from Beethoven to William S. Burroughs, all the way back to the cave art of the Paleolithic, Martel reminds us what most artists, if they are honest with themselves, already know, that art is not decodable, not exhaustible, not neatly pressed into the service of morals or ideology of any kind. So it's a great sort of work of philosophy, thinking about art and what it is and what it does and how both knowable and unknowable it is at the same time. I've been having a lot of fun reading it, and sort of, it is a book that sort of you have to digest. So I try to read maybe a chapter a night, and sort of process through it. And it's really, I've been really enjoying reading through it. And I think it's one of those books, it's not that long either. It's 171 pages, and they're laid out in a way that it feels less than 171 pages that you've been. So really highly recommend and love Reclaiming Art in the Age of Artifice.
That sounds fabulous, Julie. I haven't read this one yet. I always feel bad when I haven't read all of the books. But on the other hand, it's another one to put on my stack because, like Deals with the Devil, I think Age of Artifice is where we are right now. And especially when we're talking about books, we're talking about AI and all of that stuff. It's really a relevant conversation to be having. So, and this sounds, very readable and not at all intimidating, I think, for anybody interested in any of these things. So, great book. Thanks, Julia. All right, Tom.
All right. So then my next book is coming out on May 13th. Ocean Vuong's The Emperor of Gladness. So this is one of our obviously most important, biggest, most exciting novels of the year. It's the follow-up to his first novel, On Earth We're Briefly Gorgeous. I almost don't want to talk about this book because I'm like humble. Like his use of language is so, it's perfection. So it's like, how do I describe this book? But I'll briefly describe the book, but then I'll tell you a little bit more about Ocean. So the book is set, it's set in East Gladness, Connecticut, post-industrial town. And there's a 19-year-old named Hai who's on a bridge at the end, looking into the river, thinking, "This is it for me. What do I have to live for?" And suddenly he's ready to jump, and then he hears the voice of an elderly woman named Grazina, who he finds out later has dementia or is starting to develop dementia. And she convinces him to take a different path. And then it's the story of these two characters, this 19-year-old and this elderly woman. He becomes her caretaker. But that description does not do justice to the beauty, to the power of this novel. You will be in tears throughout. You will be, certainly at the end, you will be in tears. It's an incredible book. And so I was trying to think of who is Ocean Vuong like? And I don't know. One of the reviews said he's sui generis. Yes, that's true. In a way, it sort of feels like this may be crazy talk, but like he's like a Toni Morrison like figure that whether you're reading him or listening to him talk, I remember listening to Toni Morrison just speak anything, you would be in her thrall, and that is the case here. He talks about this book being, there's not enough books about the everyday life, the dignity and human connection of everyday people, and who maybe change and maybe don't change. They're on the fringe of society, but they're lonely. All these things he brings into the novel. Cannot recommend it highly enough. But I want to talk also about, he gave the speech, a keynote at Winter Institute to booksellers in February. And it's like I could read every word of it because, again, every word, he's a poet, so every word is exactly right. But I thought this is what stood out to me. He's talking to booksellers about bookselling. He says, perhaps the most luminous North Star for any education, literary or otherwise, is the question that has since been the pillar of your practice. What do you like to read? And then he thanked booksellers for offering another path, saying that when all the paths are burning up, yes, as they seem to be now, we might look back one day with relief that there is still a narrow passage forward made by a handful of people who believe in language. So that's indie booksellers, that's booksellers, that's all of us. So May 13th, pre-order it. Go into the store on May 13th, buy The Emperor of Gladness. You won't be disappointed.
So many things, Tom. I don't, as always, you've presented it so completely and with so many fantastic references that I don't, there's not much to add, but except that I love Toni Morrison. Toni Morrison changed my life reading her, actually, because I didn't realize until I read her at the age of 19 that you could actually do that with language, right? Yeah. And I think it's an apt comparison in its way. Yeah, and I think we can throw Claire Keegan in there as well. She's a modern master. It's a little bit different, but just the ability to use language in absolutely magical ways that you can't really, you haven't conceived of beforehand. And so Ocean is definitely there. And it's the book that'll sell itself, obviously. But great to have all of this. And as Joey has posted over there, there's a great interview with him by Dua Lipa. And Dua Lipa has this podcast, which is just this incredibly in-depth and fascinating podcast where she talks to authors, and she's amazing. It's like the real deal. So there's the link over there to that as well. More value added. But
yes, well, I would say I haven't heard that interview, but anytime you can hear Ocean, you should hear Ocean because you hang on his every word. He's quiet, but there's such power.
Right.
My dogs agree.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. Well, you're living up to the bangers only that you promised, Tom. All right, Mary, your second pick.
Okay, well, I don't think anyone should have to follow that, first of all, but so I'm going to completely switch gears and do a kid's book because I have a 14-month-old grandson, and so pretty much every other book I read is a kid's book. So Pam Fong, who's one of our favorites and a friend to Diesel and Camino, and she's just so great. First of all, she's a wonderful person. We've had several events with her, and she is the author and illustrator. And this book is The Little Cloud, her newest one, but all of her books are wonderful, and I have them all and read them often. This book, just her drawings alone, and I don't know if Joey can put any up, but I mean, a lot of the book is about the clouds, but when she gets to the part, this is about Cloud trying to go see what's happening besides the clouds who just want to storm, and the big clouds all together just want to storm and they have a job to do, but little Cloud just wants to go and see like what's going on the farm. And look at her drawings are so cute and beautiful, and my grandson Asher just loves it, loves looking at everything, and his thing now is what's that, that's what he says. You have to tell him everything. And her drawings, and he loves cows, so this page with the cows, there's a lot of cows on there, so it's perfect. He looks at every one of them and we have to count them. She has the cutest stories, and they're so sweet. And then she just says that maybe like Little Cloud, you wonder what you might be missing if you're just trying to focus on work. So it's a good lesson for all of us, which a lot of the little kids stories are good lessons for adults. So just a sweet book, and I can't recommend her highly enough. I would read all her books every day if you could.
I'm so glad it's always great to talk about kids books, Mary, which we are doing more of lately, because our littlest readers are, grow up to be our big readers, right? So they're very important readers. But Pam Fong she's wonderful. She is a wonderful person. And she's also a really, really talented illustrator and writer. And all of her books, as you said, are just are gorgeous and sweet. And if you have any young person, little person in your life, all of her books are great. And then she's got the first one, it was the first one, I think, which is there's no words at all. It's just, and it's about fire, forest fire.
Yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And I remember we had an event, we had the fire department come. just kind of fun. But they're beautiful. They're really beautiful. Her illustrations are beautiful. I haven't seen this Little Cloud yet. This is great. It's gorgeous. So absolutely, worth picking up for the young reader.
I don't want my grandson to he gets it and we read it, but I don't want him to rip it or anything. So right. I have to be really careful with these.
Yeah, exactly. You're like, I'll hold this one.
Don't want him to destroy it.
Right. Well, that's what the board books are for. So you can just,
I know,
they're bitten and,
Yes.
All right. Thank you, Mary. All right. So lightning round. Dave, lead us off.
Okay. All right. One of my personal favorites from our spring list at Chronicle, being that I am a huge movie buff, and I also love graphic design, and I also love vintage books. This book hits all of my sweet spots, and this is Good Movies as Old Books. Films reimagined as vintage book covers. These come to us from graphic designer Matt Stevens, and it's as simple as it sounds, yet I think these are deceptively simple because I think there's a lot of visual brilliance and a lot of kind of clever visual play happening here. Basically, Matt takes over 200 films, both classics, tried and true, absolute classics, cult favorites, more obscure movies from over the years, and then even a lot of modern day kind of new hits, indie films, and a lot of kind of current films that we will all recognize. And then he reimagines them as in the style of old classic vintage books. For one graphic designer, I'm blown away by how many styles he can kind of affect and how many looks he gets in these covers. I'm going to show you quite a few of them quickly here. We have Alexander Payne's The Holdovers. Immediately captures both of these characters. If you've seen the film, you see this and you just feel it and you know it. Done as an old, kind of looks like a real 60s style mass market paperback. I think this Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind is totally brilliant, with the torn kind of memories and the plucking out of the brain, like in the movie, erasing your memories in this really clever visual way. There's lots of really great little details. I love when people affect kind of an old look to something and they do phony distress or bent edges or cracked spines. So there's nice wear and tear on these that makes them look really vintage and really old. Check out this incredible Taxi Driver cover. That is so good. You know it's Travis. You see it and you know exactly what it is. I love this. Can y'all see this? A pick and save price tag. So there's like really clever little visual details. Only 39 cents for a Taxi Driver novelization. Not bad. This Parasite cover reminds me so much of the a New Directions paperback. Just has that really crisp, super modern and minimalist feel. But I mean, he just takes these elements from the movies, like the levels of the house and what's happening underneath the house that you don't know. And just, it's brilliant. I think he really has a remarkable eye for gleaning what is so cool about these movies and then kind of fusing it through a love of vintage book design. One of my favorite movies of all time, Network. That just is perfect. Peter Finch there, prophesizing and ranting. Just really captures the feel of the movie. Two favorite horror films, Cronenberg's The Fly, in the Pod, and of course John Carpenter's The Thing. Just perfect. This tells you all you need to know about the film and assimilation and paranoia, all those good things in that movie. So I just love this. Over 200 movies in here. This will be in Brentwood tomorrow. I checked UPS tracking this morning, and you've got a couple copies arriving tomorrow. So a really cool $30 hardcover. We are also publishing an accompanying postcard box with 100 of the book covers in like a flip top hard box. You also have that on order at Brentwood, and I think you're getting that tomorrow too. So good movies as old books. Love it. Great gift.
I love this. I love this book so much. This is such it's just so great. And you know what it looks like? It looks like it's so much fun doing it. You know, you can see that really comes through. So clever. What a great idea. What a great gift for me if anybody is, you know, wants to get me something. Fabulous.
I can't get over it. Yeah, it is so amazing. Why don't those should exist? Those books should also exist. Should have existed.
But I mean, they should exist, and I am old enough to remember like buying books that look just like that. You know, first love of some books started there with those. What a great combination. Clever
Did I show
idea.
You this? Hold on, not to hog more time here. Oh, of course I'm not going to find it. Oh, there it is. You got to see this. I love Peter Max and I love crazy 60s psychedelic. This
is so good. This is so good. Joey pointed it out actually, that one. He loves it. It's so good. Yeah.
Yeah. Super so psychedelic and cool.
This is the kind of book that Chronicle does so well, but I mean, I really love this one. This is great. Oh, and Julia. Okay. Everybody loves it. Oh, I'm sorry, Julie. I was looking below. You said that. All right. Doesn't matter. Everybody loves it. Thank you, Dave. All right, Julia, over to you.
All right. So my next book came out yesterday. And this is Bonnie Tsui's On Muscle, the stuff that moves us and why it matters. So if you've never read a Bonnie Tsui book before, her previous book, Why We Swim, was an LA Times book prize winner, and This is sort of along the same lines of Why We Swim. What she does so sort of brilliantly in her books is she takes sort of these concepts, swimming, muscles, and talks about both the physicality of them and also the sort of cultural aspects around them. So with On Muscle, there's parts in here about bodybuilding, about how people build muscle or how we sort of perceive muscle in our culture. But then also what's so fascinating about her books is that she talks about people who sort of lay outside of the normal. So, people who build muscle in a way that a lot of other people don't build it, and what that looks like, and what it means, sort of how muscles function, but sort of also what they mean. And these books are for anyone who really likes a deep dive into sort of science, nature. There's humanity. I mean, what I was so struck by in Why We Swim was like these stories of humanity and of people sort of doing these impossible feats. In that book, she follows around people who like swim to Alcatraz in the San Francisco Bay, or like this. In that book, she also follows one guy who fell off of a fishing boat in, I think, Iceland or Finland, up in the North Sea. And like somehow his body functioned in such a way that somehow he was the one person who didn't freeze to death when he fell into the ocean. And On Muscle is very much the same, taking sort of these outliers, but imbuing them with humanity, imbuing them with such sort of interesting case studies, and then also sort of making a broader point about humanity and why these things matter to us. I just can't say enough good things about her writing, about this book, about Why We Swim. I'm a swimmer, so I sort of have a love of that book. But this one just as good and just as fascinating. So whether or not you've read Why We Swim, On Muscle is definitely one to pick up, and it just came out yesterday.
And Why We Swim is great to pick up. It did so well. That book took off. We sold so many copies of that book, and people really loved it. And so kind of been looking forward to this one, actually, because her take is so interesting and the way she presents it. And then because at first you're like, okay, well, swimming, okay, and then you're like, muscle, wait. But the way she connects all of these things and draws them all together and presents a bigger picture through, muscle, right? Is just really, really great. She's really talented in that way, and really excited to see this one go on sale. Actually, I think this one's going to do just as well, and it's getting great reviews. Also, yeah. Fabulous. Thank you, Julia. Tom, let's wrap it up for the day.
All right, I'm going to take you again to May 13th.
That's the day. That is the day.
Same publisher of Ocean Penguin Press that day will have Ocean Wong on sale, and it will have Ron Chernow's Mark Twain on sale on the same day. Penguin Press, big day for us, big day for Penguin Press. So what can I say? It's been 8 years since the last Ron Chernow biography. That was Grant. And Grant, it kind of inevitably led him to Twain because Mark Twain was instrumental in the publishing of Grant's memoirs. And so what better subject for Chernow than Mark Twain? I mean, so essentially American. So he takes us from, of course, 1835, Hannibal, Missouri, to his rich, full life all over the world. A literary celebrity. He grappled with a lot of things. Like it takes in the full life. Like he is the losses in his life. He does deal with how Twain grappled with slavery, of course. All these things that are so central to our understanding of Mark Twain and understanding of the novel, because Huck Finn is that novel. So it's just a brilliant, it's everything you'd expect. It's a brilliant work of scholarship from Ron Chernow, but always so accessible. Like, you keep turning the pages. I'm from Missouri, so I have I grew up knowing a lot about Mark Twain, too much, but this delivered, like, I thought, well, I know, what more can I learn? But so much, really. So Mark, you know exactly who this is for. It's for you, maybe. It's for, you know the person in your life who wants a new Ron Chernow. Second week in a row, I can honestly say this book is magisterial. Definitely magisterial.
I guess Andrea's missing this every week.
Every week. But one of our generation's, Chernow is our generation's greatest biographer. Let's face it. So, and I think Mark Twain I guess Mark Twain is always in the zeitgeist, but especially I think right now after James last year, there's a lot of people that went back to read Huck Finn as they read James. Really important, exciting, great gift, or gift for yourself. Mark Twain by Ron Chernow.
Fantastic. What a great way to wrap things up, Tom. And I foresee this being an absolutely like slam dunk gift book. I know, I can see exactly, like you said, you know who wants this book in your life. Yeah, absolutely. There was a big, many years ago, although I don't know because the timeline has gotten so strange in the last few years, but a while back, there was a big, like, 2-volume Mark Twain biography, and I remember being excited about that and then just, like, completely unable to, like, it was just too daunting. But this one, I think, I think this one will really work, because it's not so overwhelming,
Right.
So
it's a big book. Don't get me wrong.
well, of course, yeah, it's a big book, but it's a book,
Yeah.
It's not 2 books. It's not
Exactly.
2 big books. Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's Ron Chernow, so
Yeah.
you know what you're getting. Yeah, absolutely. Wonderful. Well, thank you, Tom, and thank you everybody for really it's a big week. It's going to be it's a big month, and it's going to go on to be like an even bigger summer, and it's going to be a huge weekend, and I really appreciate you all coming on and giving us like a sneak peek into some of these fantastic books that are rolling out. It's a big spring. I'm so excited. It's great. So thank you very much, everybody, for joining us. Dave Ehrlich from Chronicle Books, Julia Callahan from Hachette, Tom Benton from Penguin, Mary, thank you so much in this very busy week for taking time out to talk books with us. And thank you, Joey, behind the scenes with all the links, and everybody who tuned in this week. We appreciate you. Have an absolutely fantastic, go out, check, this is the time for books. Go out there. Everybody's like booking it up this weekend. So take your water and your snacks and have a great time. And we hope to see you out there and back here next week. We'll return with more reps, more books, and a lot more to talk about. So we hope to see you then. Until then, everybody have a great weekend.